You know what? This is how I believe, okay? I'm from the old school.
All right, it's old school. The monitor's not working, so I'm sorry I didn't know when we were up, but it's okay. We don't need the monitor, although I will look at it 1,000 times. So if you could actually turn it on, that would be great.
There's one there.
Yeah, I know, but
then it'll be all. That'll be.
But one of my favorite things about being on television is seeing the monitor and glancing at it slyly. And then making eye contact.
Oh yeah. There's no sly glance that'll get it done there.
But I don't. My glances aren't sly. I'm like, hey, I'm looking at myself on the monitor. How about that?
I can barely make eye contact with the camera.
What I like about not only this magical moment and setup that we have at the Young Turks, but at pretty much a lot of huge television facilities where there are a lot of people working and there are a lot of production meetings and all the rest is they come in, they tack down your mic so that the cord's not seen, that they make sure that everybody's on their mark and that all the cameras are in position, they roll the audio checks and all the rest, and then you go on the air. And honestly, invariably, it's something like this. But by the way, the huge monitor in the studio is not turned on.
That's right. Well, there's something about, as you know, you and I, Mark, have had different alternate television careers in addition to whatever work we do here. This has always been a special place of how it's done, just slightly differently. And I always try to find, and Cenk and I have argued for a long time about, well, they don't really argue about it anymore, but I thought that we tried a little too hard to embrace the sleek look of a real newscast, because I thought we're never gonna be, and you don't want that anyway.
Right, one of the most enduring things about this place.
And about Cenk is that, this is speaking from his heart legitimately, and he reads extensively and dives deep on things, but he doesn't have a prompter and he doesn't script it out. So you were hearing some raw emotion, right? And just it's authenticity more than emotion. You're hearing authenticity. So why create a set that looks like Tom Brokaw's, right? So I wanted, like you probably did, I wanted always big giant radio, this studio, but maybe a big giant radio microphone.
Sure.
Something.
I'd like big giant radio microphones.
Something I just thought that I certainly wanted for this show. We can't really do both. That requires too much, switching out. But it took like 6 years to get us the ability to have 3 people or 4 people on the set wearing lav microphones, lavalier microphones. Those are the microphones that you see every newscaster wear pinned to their lapels, and not have it work for one person and echo for the other 3.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that went on for years and years, and many times I swear to God, them saying like it can't be done. And I'm like, hey man, like I watched the news and I got news for you. They're not geniuses. But they've figured it out in Topeka and Charleston, West Virginia, and Charleston, South Carolina, and San Francisco and Dallas. We can do this here. And finally, I think we have it.
Well, the other thing that is cool is that it was cool when the Young Turks was upgraded, because I remember doing the Young Turks. We were on the radio with I think a video. It was also simulcast in the old building on Wilshire. There was also a video component.
The building that was half under construction the entire time.
Right.
Yeah, that started. The transition to YouTube was made there.
Okay, so but there was a cool aspect to, like as you say, don't get off on the 5th floor because there's literally no floor there and you'll just fall to your death. So there was a cool aspect to that, And as we slowly evolved, I say we, but I mean really the Turks, but I always felt so lucky to be part of it in some way, that as it evolved, you saw it growing up and being a little smoother in a lot of technical ways. And as you say, the mics work and you got real people who know what they're doing, working controls.
That's right, yeah. So we got a control room filled with the professionals. Well, it doesn't actually look like anybody's there now, but that's not.
No, they're smoking in the parking lot. But the point is, they have their act together, they get us going, and then they can take a break.
Then they go smoke in the parking lot. Yeah. Legitimately, if anyone is there, raise your hand.
I can.
Okay, we got one. We got one. All right. Yeah. So anyway, it's but it's always been a different place, and it's tough because the upgrade has been better. Like this place looks better, the videos look better here than they did at that other place. I just wanted to incorporate a little something that told people within 2 seconds of watching that this was to be taken seriously, but this is different.
Right.
And that's that's where set design is. That's an art, right? That's finding that there's a real skill to that.
It's funny that Ben mentions the microphone, the old school microphone, because as you knock around YouTube and you see all the different channels that have come up like the Young Turks, okay? Right. It's usually one guy sitting there, right? And he's opining about one thing or another, and some of them even on the Young Turks network. What do they all have?
A big
microphone.
They have a big microphone, right? And if I saw that, and mostly I think to them, don't do that.
Yeah, right. No, so, it doesn't work for you.
It doesn't work for you, right? That's right. Yeah. So I don't know if it's the big mic. I don't know what it is. Just some little thing, and that's what I'm great at. Is coming in after decisions have been made and telling people what's slightly wrong with that decision, and not really offering a solution. Right? Right. It's a great skill, and it's welcomed by others.
Yeah, thanks for the notes after we can't do anything.
Yeah, thanks for the notes after we spent $1.3 million, right? Great note, Ben, thanks. And you don't really have a suggestion, but that's what it is. Like, I always thought that Jake is slightly hampered by a quick glance to a casual viewer thinks, hey, this looks like Rachel Maddow. And I think it should look slightly different somehow. And I don't know
like
what that is.
Rachel Maddow, but you're not being paid $30,000 a day.
$30,000 a day, we think that's what it is?
That's what she's paid.
Oh, I actually thought it might be more.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well,
I heard 30 a day.
That's $150,000 a week.
Right.
So what is that a year? That's times
54
that's right.
weeks.
Right, so that's 6-7 million a year, right?
That's about right, I think, because make no mistake about it, one of the favorite games of men is how much does that person make? And when you're going into a person's house for a kid's birthday party, most people are saying, oh, we're so happy, little Stephanie looks so cute today. Most guys are looking around going, let's see, I wonder what this
7.8 million.
Yeah. So I remember playing this game with Rachel Maddow not too long ago. Right. It was like, all the guesses were, because I thought there's no way she's making $7 million. I was adamant about it. I said, no, well, the first thing is she's not making $7 million.
That's more,
no, Mark, the first thing is she is making $7 million.
Turns out it's more like 8.
Yeah.
Closer to 8, yeah. But she is, first of all, winning all of a sudden in the key demo now. I don't know, I guess as you're, now all of a sudden, if you're a real liberal, you don't like Rachel Maddow. I like Rachel Maddow. I've always liked Rachel Maddow. I liked her before.
What do you mean if you're a real liberal?
Because she's part of the
establishment, corporate media. She represents a lot of
and focused on Russia and I don't know.
You mean focused on reality?
Focused on the largest political story maybe in the history of the United States, short of a presidential assassination.
No question.
Well,
largest.
I'm going to give him.
Yeah, I think this is even bigger than a.
Certainly an argument. But no, so I don't have any problem with that. But I just think I think she's good. I think the way she has this, Wes. By the way, Ben, Wes, Mark. But we. Another Young Turks thing, not introducing who we are.
Speaking of.
Oh, were we supposed to? I
don't know, just generally. I was listening to, I'll get to Rachel Maddow in a second, I was listening to Sirius NFL Radio this week. And twice conversations, I think one of the guys was Rich Gannon. And I think he's really great.
I think he's really great.
Good analysis.
He's a former quarterback who made the transition successful.
They're very honest and candid. I don't know who his partner is. He's also good. But like a very simple broadcasting thing to remember on the radio, people are coming in the middle, and you need to mention the name of the person you're talking about or the team. You can't just say him and they for 3 minutes.
Right.
You've got to say, so finally I was like, after easily 3 minutes, I'm like, I think they're talking about Andrew Luck, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's wild.
He, and then again, I think they were talking about the Skins, but it was because it was through the process of elimination with Eagles, Giants, and Cowboys. Like you've got to, in radio, you've got to, much less so than television, you've got to
remind people,
reset. The reset could be saying, the problem with Luck is, at least we're talking about Andrew Luck.
It's funny, when I start a podcast, I used to do that. So the podcast world, you'll go, an hour, hour and a half. I just finished a podcast today. It's probably going to run close to 2 hours. This is a long one for my show. But I was always doing what Ben's talking about, which is saying, well, Ben Mankiewicz,
right.
It seems to me that movies today, blah, 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 and I would do it constantly. I go, hey, and if you're just joining us, I would do it just like that. We're talking to Wes Clark Jr. And Wes, what about the pipelines? Right. And one of my co-hosts finally came to me and said, you don't need to do that on a podcast.
They've come to it.
Right. They know who's here. Yeah. They know what we're talking about. They've been listening to you for 40 minutes.
Right.
There's nobody come, but I'm just so
Yeah, you're trained for it. You're trained for it. Yeah. But the podcasting world is different. But a little reset, a little reminder, because people's mind drifts. It's again. So it's just. But that was. But those guys are good. I just thought like that should be their consultant note. Great show. You guys are good. You're honest. You're genuine. You're authentic. Use the people's names more often.
Right.
Right. That's it. So yeah, Rachel Maddow. Yeah, I just think she also developed. She has a, she has a style. She's got her own thing. I mean, that long first block, and she sets it up. She's like, you think I'm going here? Well, wait, like whatever. I'm sure some people are annoyed by it, but everyone on television annoys some people. Yeah. I hated Jane Pauley, right, for years. Couldn't understand.
Really?
Yeah, and America, right? America loved her. Like huge success. Like
I didn't love her. I accepted her. I'm like, okay.
Right. For some reason that bothered me, and I think it reflects that's something wrong with me. I eventually took that to mean, no, she's clearly good at this job, and sure. I am not. There's something inauthentic that bothered me. But that's what I mean, and it's a nice thing that I had that, because when people hate me, I think, well, I hated Jane Pauley, right? And I was probably an idiot, so they're probably an idiot.
I remember that Jane Pauley didn't pronounce your brother's name quite correctly at the beginning.
That's right, yeah.
So Jane Pauley.
Josh Mankiewicz has that story.
Yeah. It was, and I said, well, I can see one Mankiewicz getting into the outfield on you once in a while, maybe, but
it's a great.
Once you've been told, hey, by the way, it's Josh Mankiewicz.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Mankiewicz, like they're three. Mm-hmm. But still, she didn't get it for a while.
There's things that at TCM that I just can't say.
Like
almost anything French causes some agita.
Really?
Yeah, I don't speak French. I never took French, and it is a hostile language. Like when I have to go through the Japanese directors, Yasujiro Oju, Akira Kurosawa, they're breezes, and every Japanese name is essentially just pronounce every single thing you see as a new syllable, right? But French, no, they don't have that at all. I don't know what to do. I mean, one of the great directors of all time, Orson Welles said about Grand Illusion that if he could only save 2 movies, he'd pick Grand Illusion and something else, and that's Jean Renoir's Grand Illusion. But I have, like, every time I see it coming, and I'm friends with Norman Lloyd, who was friends with Renoir, but that name, seeing it, like, gets my hands clammy, like, oh man, I'm gonna screw up this whole take because I'm gonna go Jean Renoir. And Mankiewicz threw some fear into her. I mean, you'd like to think she knew something about the family, but it's not a big deal. Whatever.
Yeah, didn't mean to bring up a sore subject.
But anyway, I like Maddow. So what do we think? What did we learn today? Was there stuff today on? There was Trump stuff today. I mean,
was there? I have not seen the news in about 6 hours. So for all I know, we could be at war with somebody, or
well, the Washington Post broke today that Bob Mueller is investigating Donald Trump for obstruction of justice.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what any reasonable person would have presumed from Comey's testimony that Comey was looking into it, and he handed all his files over to his friend and former colleague Bob Mueller, and now he's looking at it in the same way. So that became official in the Washington Post. But I think there was a qualifier on it. I think it was that the Washington Post has learned that Robert Mueller is likely looking at Donald Trump for obstruction of justice. I think that story was, but yes. And then a report that they were looking at that the New York Times had it, and it was sort of at the tail end of the story, I think, if I read that right, that money laundering, that they think that whatever deals anybody made with Russia, they were probably paid for it, and the presumption is they were paid for it, and then they probably tried to hide that money.
Well, the real estate world is filled with money laundering situations that sort of have always been, I think, in this gray area, and it usually goes something like this. My building is 3.5 million. You're going to buy it for 4.5 million, and that's what you paid for it. And now $1 million more than the building would have normally garnered has now come in, and that's how you're paying me off. Now, that's a payoff. That's not quite laundering money.
Right.
But in that world of
you're laundering it through the building.
Right. In the world, I mean, there are a lot of different, pure laundering schemes. But in the real estate world, that sort of thing happens a lot because you're dealing with values that can pretty well be
anything.
Exactly. Whatever the market will bear, whatever you'll get somebody to pay for.
Do either of you guys watch Better Call Saul?
Yeah.
Well, the most recent is so good.
It is good. I think the last episode is coming up.
It's coming up, yeah. The next.
Yeah, no, but I couldn't. But I'm thinking this is the last episode
of the season.
I know, but it just feels as though I
didn't watch it.
Yeah,
because I watched the other series that
Breaking Bad.
Yeah, Breaking Bad, and then Better Call Saul came out right after I was done watching it. I'm like,
you've had enough.
I've had enough. I got to take a break for a couple weeks.
You can take a break, but I couldn't recommend. It's different.
I love Odenkirk, man. Yeah, he's awesome.
But I mean, it's just almost nothing happens on any episode. Yet it's riveting.
That's right.
But great actors too. But Jonathan Banks, one of the great television actors of all time, was he's laundering his money like through a giant multinational corporation that has shipping concerns and and he was like, and he had to launder, I don't know, $340,000 because he's like, if something happens to me, this money then won't, it's in cash, it'll never get to my daughter-in-law and granddaughter, and so I need it to be legit. And so he was asking all these questions, and she's like, we run 6 international ports. This is a $1.7 billion a quarter or whatever she said industry. Your $340,000 is a rounding error. Like, don't worry, this is nothing.
We're not coming after your money.
Right. This is not. You don't need. No one. The IRS is not gonna. This is
the thing about that scene. And even if you don't watch Better Call Saul, West, I know you don't watch it, but I remember thinking to myself, this is that scene where, because everything feels very real, it's very well acted, but where it has to be, the dialogue has to be explaining something almost a little more basically than you would likely have a back and forth. There's no one who's an executive of a company who's going to answer the following question, I believe, which is Banks' question. So let me get this straight. I give you the $340,000 and then you launder it through your company. That conversation is not happening.
Speak into the microphone, please. Speak into the microphone.
But just so we know that, like, we know from Breaking Bad that woman is heavily involved in Gus Fring's business, in the main drug trafficker's business, and he has said, take care of this guy because the guy means something to the.
So does it take place before Breaking Bad?
Yeah, it takes place before Breaking Bad. So she, and I thought one of the great things about that actress, whose name escapes me right now, but I had it at the time, was that she acted like, I can't believe you're legitimately asking me these questions.
Oh, that's a great,
right? Like she was like, you really need me to explain this to you? Like and so the writers and the writing so great on that show, sort of understanding, taking it upon themselves to be like, we need to explain this we need to make it as likely as possible that this conversation could happen. And
I think that's a fair point. And to have her response be sort of a little annoyed.
There's always that moment in movies where you're like, oh, here comes the explanation of the plot that they can't get, and when it's done artfully. Like, it deserves a little bit of a round of applause, and I thought they did it, Art. But I did think.
So you're saying Lieutenant Kelly covered up his son's murder? There always has to be that.
But Lee and my wife and I were watching. We started TiVoing Columbo and the Rockford Files, and man, the Rockford Files is just great. It still's great. It holds up. It's great. But Columbo has just tremendous moments where he's like, you think he's explaining this for 45 seconds. He's explained it for 1:40, right? He's just
Here's the thing about Columbo, because I am a Columbo fan, but I agree, and I'm a fan.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to go back and watch. Like, I've got all the episodes on DVD. The problem with Columbo is it plays now very slow.
Very slow.
And I really sense now what I didn't sense then, which is that they're filling. They're really filling. I mean, like that show is mostly filler, is what I'm
Every
getting
show from the 70s was. I mean, look at The Incredible Hulk. The Incredible Hulk had 2 rules. He turns green at 22 minutes after the hour and 44 minutes after the hour. Come up with something for him to do between those 2 times. That's how it worked.
Yeah, so there's a lot of, and I still love it, but for me, The Fugitive, with David Jansen, I watched that late, obviously not when it aired. I'm too young for that.
I don't remember either when I've been. But it's just for the record, I'm too young also to remember really.
I think 63 to 67 for The Fugitive. I think. But I saw it in like 93, 94 when A&E was running it, and I saw every episode, and now I have them all on DVD. But they would. There was a tremendous amount of. One guy gets into the driver's seat, the other guy gets into the passenger seat, they close the door, the car starts, the car heads down the road, it pulls onto the main road, they take a wide shot from the helicopter, they're driving, like, hey, I got it, they're going somewhere, let's just pick it up when they get there. I got it, they said where they're going.
Right.
Show them there. We'll presume they drove.
Well, when I'm going back and looking at some of these older shows like Columbo, the things that jump out at me beyond what we were just talking about is the stuff that's really fun, which is that he'd walk into these huge, palatial, the whole thing with Columbo is that he's this kind of cop rumpled from the street and he's going to solve this murder. And it's usually involving somebody who's from a very high station in society, a super billionaire who's,
Yeah, he's like, we saw the last Columbo ever, the one from 2003. So they had a lot of returns to Columbo. This was the last 2, and it was a 2-hour movie. Matthew Rhys from The Americans was in it.
Wow, that's
the
cool.
bad guy, using his real accent. And he was great, but yeah, it was the degree of, it was 2 hours, and man, it almost could have been 30 minutes.
Yeah. No, the later ones, they didn't solve that problem. But the early ones, because it's the 60s, it started coming, it started late 60s. First of all, everybody, remember one of the early episodes, like season 1, everybody's in a bow tie, walks into a party where it opens, and like everybody's, and then Columbo, when he shows up, is smoking a cigar when he walks into the party. Imagine, not only is this a gorgeous mansion, but now there's been a murder there, and the cop comes in. There's like a coroner's photographer there, and there's like, everything is.
He's getting ashes all over the whole crime scene.
Literally, there's smoke all over the place. This isn't just once in a while. He always came in with that. They always go, Lieutenant Columbo, could you put your cigar out, please?
That's why Telly Savalas had the lollipop, because they always had to have something in their mouth.
Yeah, wild.
Yeah, it's those shows they didn't have, but it was like everything had to be. But Rockford is different. It moves along in an impressive way. There's not a lot of him. When he's in the car, he's driving. He's at high speed. Like the car is the thing. He's doing the 360s. But he is so spectacularly charming. James Garner, like out of control charming, that it's sort of just every scene is just too, he's funny, he's like, my wife is in love with him,
Yeah.
But anyway, so somehow the Rockford Files seems to feel a little more modern, but I think it's this particular incredible charisma.
And you're watching on, is it MeTV?
I think it's on MeTV. I think Eric Cozy, something, I don't know.
I
think it's MeTV, but also.
I ran into,
promos are running.
I was on the set of Battle of the Network Stars, which is going to premiere, I think, in like a week or something. And
Bart just gave us a big
Yeah, that's right. So that's a reboot of the Battle of the Network Stars of the 70s. But anyway, I bump into Barry Williams, who I know because when I first came to LA, I'm a tennis player, and I'm a recreational tennis player, and we played doubles together a lot, like, twice a week or something. Anyway,
Barry Williams from the Brady Bunch, Greg Brady.
Yeah, Greg Brady, thank you. So it was cool, because like I'm kind of feeling out of place, and you don't know who everybody is, and like Ronda Rousey's there, she's one of the hosts, and all the ESPN people are there, and they play it in this, you can just be intimidated to walk in an environment like that, and he's there, and I go, hey, wait. And so he tells me about MeTV, that he's hosting now, like the whole season. He's like the Ben Mankiewicz of MeTV.
They brought to do introductions to TV shows, to curate those shows.
Right.
I haven't seen that yet, but that makes sense. That's what they should do.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they should do. He'd just say, I just came back from doing promotion. I was in New York yesterday. He's kind of talking about the production schedule of his life, But
yeah, I'm sure that's a good idea to do that for BTV. I mean, if there were a minute of info before every episode of the Rockford Files, I'd be like, great.
Sure.
Hey, here's some of the co-stars to look for here. You might remember. Here's this person. They went on to do this. Seemed like they were going to be a big star, but they OD'd 3 years later. That's great. There's great stuff to be had there. TCM has talked for a long time about whether to get into television, because a lot of maybe now those things aren't available, but 5-10 years ago, there were so many shows that were not going to be that expensive to acquire. Like, could there have been a Turner Classic TCTV network?
Sure.
But obviously they didn't do it. And now it seems like, at least for now, that there's another player. Although a lot of commercials.
Yeah, you almost have to
TiVo it and run through them.
Because
the commercials they
bum you out.
They're long block and they bum you out.
Man, it's like, hey,
that's
right. Yeah. Most of us have lost the ability to walk years ago, but now
adult diapers.
Right, through a new right.
Right. Do you have
mesothelioma?
Do you have mesothelioma? Well, you will soon.
And it's we laugh, but we know we're all headed there.
Right, of course. But it's that was the other thing I want to talk about today, because so this movie I saw last night that we're late in reviewing on What the Flick is called It Comes at Night. Joel Edgerton.
Yeah, Joel Edgerton. He's a talented guy. Huh?
He's a very talented guy. The performances of all four of the main actors in it.
Who's in it?
I can't remember anyone else's name off the top of my head, but I'll tell you in a matter of seconds. Really, Joel Edgerton is the name star, but the kid, Kelvin Harrison Jr. plays his son. He's married to a black woman, has a black son. I missed the first minute and a half, but I don't think that mattered. Because I thought I had time and I didn't want to see any trailers. So I just waited 10 minutes and then the movie had started. I don't like to see trailers. But it was really good, but it's about basically, I know it's a horror movie, but it's a horror movie in that it's terrifying.
Right.
But it's not, there's no monster.
It's a psychological thriller.
It's your psychological thriller, but that would have made a difference. Like I want it labeled that, right, and not horror, because you're thinking it comes at night, but what it turns out what it is for it coming at night, this is not a spoiler, are just dreams and sort of extra paranoia. Disease has suddenly wiped everybody out. Everybody's dying, and
that's what the movie's about.
Yeah, they're alone in a cabin, and in the beginning of the movie, one of their family gets sick, and they have to shoot him in the head and burn his body. Like you put him out of his misery, and they're all wearing masks.
That's how the movie opens.
That's how it opens. It's a powerful open. It's good. And then his other family comes in, right? They find another family who's doing the same thing, that has somehow stayed disease-free, and they don't know what's out there, and they don't know it's dangerous, and it's a apocalyptic world. The apocalypse is not bombs, but disease, and just the psychology of feeling like you have to protect yourself and everybody's a threat, and the way they end up treating each other, it's just awful. Like, it's just awful. The movie's not awful, but that sense of, man, I don't want to see this. Like, and I was thinking, if Trump weren't president, if it weren't a day when a member of Congress is fighting for his life tonight, would I feel differently? And there was a shooting at a UPS and it killed 4 people right in San Francisco, in your old hometown, Mark. But it's just awful, right? It's awful. Everything feels awful. The politics feels awful.
Awful.
Everything is awful.
There's no other word for it.
Right, it's awful. And so seeing a movie of sort of the worst we can be, reduced to our most base moments of self-preservation, with no hope for a future. Also, maybe. I was like bummed out. I was like, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this movie, even though I'll give it a good review tomorrow, because it's unquestionably accomplished what it set out to do.
But at this moment in time, things are so bleak already.
Yeah, just didn't
I felt
feel
that
like
when I saw the movie Logan.
Oh, is that right? I haven't
And I
seen
left
it.
and I was like, what a fucking bummer.
Right, because it's great, right? Like it's good.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
it's good. The acting's good. The story's good. It seems plausible. Everything. I mean, plausible except for the fucking mutants. But, but it was a bummer.
Right.
It was a bummer.
Right. There's never been a moment where the place we are has affected my ability to enjoy television. The Handmaid's Tale, the last episode.
Can't watch tonight. Can't watch it.
Yeah, well,
watched the first episode. I'm like, too fucking depressing.
Yeah, right.
Can't deal with it.
But that's somehow that story, at least in the beginning, it was its immediacy heightened the drama. The fact that it felt like, that we're living through these crazy times right now, that added something to the show. But I totally get that you might just think, oh, man, this is tough. This is tough. At least the show in and of itself, the way people treat each other. I mean, except for the slave owners, basically. But yeah, I get it. But I am affected by my ability to consume my content has been affected by the Trump administration.
That's good.
And that's what I resent most.
That's good though.
It's not the healthcare, or the denial of rights of black
Basic
people.
rights to others.
Yeah.
But you're like, if you're killing my buzz at the AMC 15,
yeah.
Now you're hitting me where I live.
This was an ArcLight. I paid $15 for this ticket at 11 a.m., okay? $15 at 11 a.m.
That's
your
for what the
$15 to depress you.
Yeah. Because we missed. We're doing it late, so I had to go pay. I mean, there was a screening for
normally
it.
there's a screening.
Yeah, normally. Yeah. What were you saying?
You paid $15 to be depressed.
I paid $15 to be depressed, but the senior ticket, like nobody cares. I could have hit senior,
I see.
right?
Yeah,
I could have done it on the thing, and it was $13.50.
Yeah, it doesn't save you much.
It's not,
what senior can afford $13.50?
$13.50. It's 11:10 in the morning.
They're battling that mesothelioma.
That's true.
How can they afford $13.50 for a ticket?
You can only have one can of cat food for the weekend.
A movie at 11:10 in the morning on a Wednesday
should be $5.
$5. That's exactly right.
For everybody.
For everybody. You want? By the way, and if it's an old theater, $3.
Yes.
$5 at the new theater.
Agreed.
Yeah, you're lucky I'm here. Right. Was there anybody else there?
Yeah. Actually, I think this movie might have some legs only based on the fact that there were 12 people at that screening.
Yeah. And Hollywood is one of those places, or LA is one of those places where people are on odd schedules, and there just feels like there's more stuff going on.
Yeah, I was in Santa Monica, but then ArcLight there. But yeah, those theaters are nice.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah. Have you been to the dine-in theaters yet?
Yeah, that's
like
nice
the marina and stuff, with the lazy boy chair.
Yeah.
I've been
massive, amazing fried food delivered to the scene.
There's a Cinemark in Playa Vista,
right?
Which is now where my mom is. So I've been.
Your mom's down in that neighborhood.
She's in like a senior living.
But you mean like off Jefferson?
Yeah, off
the whole Silicon
Jefferson.
Beach.
Yeah, she's in a building there.
But they'll bring you a lot of fried food in that building too. Won't they?
Yeah, there's probably a fair amount. Yeah,
I'm sure.
I've been there twice, but have yet to see a movie.
It's a weird neighborhood. I've got a friend or two that live down there.
John and I saw a movie there with. I saw the only movie I've ever seen with John Iderola there.
What'd you see with John?
I don't know. We had a really good time, but I can't remember what it was. Yeah, I don't know. I like going to movies with John. Maybe it was, might have been Mad Max. No, that was it wouldn't have been there. That thing wasn't there.
2 years ago?
It was just opening up. There was no other stores there. Like the first time.
Oh wow, that's
But I went twice in the last 10 days, but failed to see a movie.
But is that the theater where they'll bring you a martini if you want one?
Totally, yeah.
I love that's the best. And
they brought an Americano from the Starbucks Americano.
That's so cool.
It was fantastic. I couldn't get over that. It was great. Yeah.
And here's how so much I'm drunk on that. First of all, I literally drunk because I ordered martinis every time I go. But I'm drunk on that world. Is like if I hit that blue button for the guy to come by, because you're paying a lot of money, by the way. It's not just my attitude. They're expensive. I mean, it's really a $50 evening.
That's right, because the tickets are $15 each, so 30, and then you're buying a couple of drinks.
It's a $50 evening if you have a non-alcoholic drink and no appetizer and just order the meal.
Right, it's $50 north of that.
Right.
But if they're not like right on it, like if that blue button's been other, you're like, what the hell? It starts to take me out of the film. I'm like, come on, where is
It's like when the go-go in flight doesn't work.
Right.
Like I'm at 38,000 feet, and I'm like, I got to get this bet down on the Twins Rangers mid-game, 6th inning. If I don't get it now.
By the way, you know that in 10 years, if we're all still around, that
it'll be instant. They'll solve it.
That'll just be so quaint that Ben was sitting there hoping that go in flight was working.
But the go in flight is so bad. And I don't pay for, my company pays for it otherwise because it's also too expensive. It's like $40 for the flight.
Of course, it's ridiculous. Right? And by the way, they get fat off business travelers just like you.
Right, totally, where the company pays for it. And I constantly use it, and I use it on the way there. I'm frequently doing last-second work, so it's relevant. But then it's never worth it because the aggravation is so, I'm always like, I've just spent 35 minutes. I could just read a goddamn book.
Yeah.
This is nice.
Yeah.
Sit back, read a book. Nobody's asking you to do anything. And I'm like, come on, come on.
I get sucked into the same thing. I always bring a book, something to read, and then I'll see on the monitor, which I'm not watching. I don't have
someone else's monitor.
Somebody else's monitor, and it's like Real Housewives of something, or like some show I don't watch, okay? Or like Flip This House.
It's like a documentary. And you're like, so you start searching. I got to find that.
And exactly. And then you can see it's somebody who's paid for a documentary, or they're watching it in, that premium level seat where the point is though, you got to go in now into all those movies, figure out what documentary it is. I've done that. I mean, I've gone on that search. It's crazy. Yeah. And then, but to your point, my book is way in the rear view. Now I'm on a hunt.
Right. No, I got to find this. I got to watch this. I got to watch this. And then inevitably I'll be like, oh, Shawshank Redemption. I'll watch this for the 19th time.
I find myself watching too many movies I've seen before because when I look at a new movie, I'm just like, do I really want to waste the 2.5 hours on it?
I think the choices are too hard. I think the choice, like you go, even on Delta, like they've got 200 movies and 150 TV shows. Right? Yeah. We should have 12, or there should be a thing like, here's where if you want just 12, and like I know it costs money, and I'm thinking, I'm trying to get myself work, like curate them, like have like, which is by the way what TCM is doing with Filmstruck, which both of you should get. That's really interesting in there. Standalone video on demand. Filmstruck. I
still remember when they would pull down the screen and it was one movie.
Yeah, right.
And everybody watched it.
Yeah, of course, right.
And there was never a second movie.
No, and it massively edited.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And now the one thing
fudge you, no fudge you.
Yeah. That's right. What they do on Raging Bull, he comes into the club and he goes, "You fucking my wife? Are you fucking my wife?" And, and they changed it. The dub they dubbed it to, "Are you meeting my wife?"
Oh, that's so great. They did the same thing on Glengarry Glen Ross, right? Which cannot exist without that
raw language.
Without that language, yeah. What did they? Glengarry Glen. I got to look up what the Glengarry Glen Ross edit was, because it's really good. Yeah, and the headphones never worked, and nobody had their own headphones.
That's what I was going to say. The one thing that they haven't really improved on flights is, besides everything, is the audio. The audio is it's dirty. You can't quite, it's not a clean audio connect.
On what? On the
on airplanes.
Yeah,
it's still not good.
Well, because they're giving you disposable headphones that
no, but it's the background sound on it.
Yeah,
like you can use I use my own headphones, the Bose super noise canceling. It doesn't matter. There's some.
But Delta still has the two-pronged thing, so you still sometimes have to. You can get it in one ear, like you have to.
You do the half.
You're half in, half out. You're fine. Ooh, don't move. Don't move. And the person next to you fucking can't move either. Yeah, I always sit on the aisle, and they're like, I have to pee. I'm sorry. Sorry, I just got it to come into my right ear. Yeah, I'm afraid not. Yeah.
I've had to pee for the last hour. I'm not moving.
I'm not moving. Nobody's moving. Just relax. We'll be in LA in 3.5 hours. It's fine.
Yeah, but as they make those seats smaller and smaller, and they charge you more and more for taking everything, from a check bag to a carry-on bag, they could put some of that money into making that audio thing cleaner.
Yeah, I think on some of the new Delta planes and the new systems are better. And I'm incredibly fortunate because I fly up front most of the time. But on many of those flights, when you fly to New York, sometimes you get a supremely luxurious seat. But mostly to Atlanta, you get what really was a coach seat. It is not different. I'm not complaining because it is worse in coach, right? But I am just struck by, man, people are paying $1,700 for this. And when that guy in front of me puts his seat back, I got to put my seat back, and then it's not comfortable. It's not.
Yeah.
It's way more comfortable. It is way better, and it is an unfair system. I get it, but right. it is what used to be a plane seat. Like in my lifetime, that's how much room you would have in row 34D, which is of course where I flew for the first 40 years of my life.
I'm still flying.
Yeah, of course. If anybody, any person who pays for their own ticket, flies there.
The only time I've ever flown first class, I think someone got me a ticket for something I had to go to.
Yeah, I've never bought myself.
Who the hell would
waste the money on it?
Right? Yeah, I mean, I guess I've used miles.
For the upgrade
to fly to Europe.
Sure.
Like I thought, well, it's 50,000 miles or it's 100,000 to fly first class. So this is, I have a lot of miles.
My father did a lot of work. He's a lawyer, but he's not like a litigator kind of lawyer. Not really important, but I was kind of trying to explain that he was doing work in the South Pacific, okay, Guam and Marianas Islands. But he's not a big fat cat lawyer. I guess that's why I was mentioning it. He's sort of like a constitutional lawyer, and so, but be that as it may, the client's paying for your travel. My old man used to travel. Imagine this. He's on the East Coast, flies from Washington, D.C., all the way to the South Pacific, coach.
Really?
Yeah. And then I asked him, when you went over to Hungary to help my sister adopt the little girl that she ultimately adopted, you flew. Now he's much older. You were 80 then. It was just a few years ago. You flew. He said, "Yeah, I flew coach," and he doesn't say it proudly or anything. It's just the way he is. He just doesn't fly first. It's bizarre. But I couldn't. I'd go, Wes, you got some miles you can give me because I'm flying all the way to the South Pacific. I gotta say,
I flew coach from LA to Dubai to Sri Lanka.
That is unreal.
19 hours on the first leg.
In an aisle, at least?
No.
I couldn't do it. I might die.
Well, I was worried about it. This was, I think,
I could fly coach, but I have to be on an aisle.
I think 2014 or 15. It was 3 weeks before that airliner got shot down over Ukraine.
No.
Wow.
And I remember we were looking at the map, you go over the pole.
Sure.
And we're like, wow, we're flying over Syria. Right. Wow, we're flying over Ukraine.
Right.
I'm kind of nervous. My wife is like, because it's when ISIS first exploded that summer, and she's like, "Oh my God, what if they come to Dubai?" It's like unlikely they're going to move that quickly. But dude, that was the longest flight ever, and her mom wants us to come to Sri Lanka and visit all the time, and I'm just like,
no.
Wow,
it's quite literally on the other side of the planet.
I mean, that's hero status. You ought to get like a medal when you get off that flight. I mean, you're telling me it was not an aisle. Coach, 19 hours for the first leg?
Just for the first leg, and then 8 hours walking around the airport in Dubai looking for not to pass out before.
Yeah, right.
So you didn't miss your flight
to where?
Sri Lanka.
Right, because to Dubai to Sri Lanka. Jesus. Yeah.
But that was only like 6.5 hours.
Right, so that felt
So you get on and you're thinking 6.5 hours. Like if anyone was like, hey, you're gonna fly from LA to somewhere else in 6.5 hours, I'd be like, that flight's too long. Yeah. I don't want to go there.
And so you're dirty too. Like you're gross. Yeah.
You're totally dirty, and then you get off and you're in a tropical country, so you feel even dirtier.
Yeah. So this is. I think my brother's doing a piece for Dateline or the Megyn Kelly show at some point, which has been in the news a bit this week, on NBC about air travel, about the unfairness of air travel.
It's massively unfair,
right? Because now we've had this. We saw the video released that the station in Houston broke. Channel 2 in Houston, I think, got the video of a United employee shoving a 71-year-old man who asked for a new boarding pass, and maybe he asked it in an unpleasant way. It doesn't look like it, but you can't tell what he's saying. But he gets chest shoved, and he goes down, and he is unconscious. He must have hit his head or something.
Wow.
He's okay, but he's suing for over $1 million now. But I mean,
he'll get it.
He'll get it. Shoved down. He's out, and nobody comes to his aid, including passengers. It's a minute, and then finally a passenger with their bags. Like, this guy's lying in the middle of the airport, spread eagle. He appears to be unconscious.
Fuck, I hate flying, dude.
Yeah,
I'd rather drive almost
And then we got
anywhere.
all these, so I agree. So we got all these, and I fly all the time. You know, I fly 20 times a year at least, and many people fly more. But it's, and again, I have every luxury given to me, and it's still exhausting.
Yeah.
Sure. And they're all, you know, they're all across the country. If you want to feel bad for me, if you're choosing, if you'd like to feel bad for me.
Wes has pretty much got the bragging rights on feeling bad after the 19-hour flight.
You know, Wes,
but it wasn't bad because,
you know, sure, LA to Atlanta, that's about 4, but back Atlanta to LA, that can be 5 hours. Then sometimes you have to sit on the taxiway, and you know, and you're up there and you're in 2B, and you're really eager to get off the plane.
Well, do that 2 more times, and you're close, but
you're
not
still not quite there. You're still not
Wes
there.
was talking about.
And I get, and people want the window because they want to sleep on those flights, but I feel
I can't
trapped.
do that.
I feel
I'm trapped in the window.
Yeah.
I prefer an aisle over anything because then you can just spread it out.
Well, also you have control. I've got a control. I don't like to feel
control. I can get up. I can get up whenever I want.
Anytime I want.
Anytime I want, I get up. No problem.
I'd have to go. Excuse me. I gotta get up for a second.
No. So when I'm in I'm bad because when I'm in an aisle and they put the cart next to me, I'm like, I start to sweat.
Yeah.
So I can't. I got the one time I got out of that I had a window seat and I thought I can't do this, and I didn't want to make it, but I was like, I asked everyone around me, would they give me their aisle seat, and I was like, anybody want a window seat? Nobody wanted. It was like $20, and I was going to go.
Oh, you offered 20?
I was going to go to 40 like that, but I got to take it. 20.
That's exactly what I would have done. Sometimes
it's super awkward because I don't want to feel like I didn't. So I was trying to be like, $20, does that entice anybody to do this? And I was like thinking 40, and the guy was like, "What?"
Yeah, like, and plus what that's saying is.
And by the way, and then he said,
"Don't worry about
it," and I gave it to him. I was like, "No, you got it."
No, you had to give it.
You have to take it.
Well, because really, at least especially in the way you tell that story, even before you got to that, what you're doing is saying this is awkward for me, but it's really important to me. Maybe it shouldn't be.
Right.
Would you guys mind? It's all how you approach it. It's not like, hey. I hate this seat, man. I'm inside. How about if I sit on the aisle? How about $20, $30?
Right.
Anybody not ringing a bell? 40, 50. You know what I mean? Like, you don't come in like an a-hole.
But I didn't, and so I was very conscious of not being that.
Right.
But when I got stuck on the reason I had to do it was getting stuck in the aisle flying from Chicago to LA, and we sat out because it was always at O'Hare and weather. I sat on the tarmac for an hour 20. In Chicago, in that window seat with 2 guys, just businessmen, nothing. They were just guys in ties sitting in the middle seat in the aisle and in the back of the plane. And I'm like, and they're spread out, and they're working, they're reading, and they have not a care in the world. The guy in the middle doesn't care, the guy in the aisle doesn't care, and I'm like, yeah, it was really bad.
No, it's weird. I have that same thing. It's almost comforting to hear that somebody else has it.
Yeah.
By the way, that people say, why don't you go to San Francisco more? It's only an hour. No, it's not.
Right.
Because just as Ben says, you know,
to go to the airport, you got to be there an hour or 2 early.
On that tarmac. What's that?
You got to be there an hour or 2 early. You got to be subjected to search. All your stuff's going to go through. You may sit on the tarmac for an hour or 2.
Yeah. They've made the process getting to the plane so unsavory.
But so Josh is doing this piece. We see this video and all the fights, and it is. There's no other place, I don't think, where the difference between the 1% and the 99% is thrust in people's faces, like
It's enraging.
Right, it's enraging. It is enraging. So I'm like, I'm here. I'm gonna get my coffee, and I have TSA pre, right? I just signed up for Clear, right? Which I don't even think it seems unnecessary.
I know. I can't think. We'll come back to it. But go ahead. Yeah.
So I mean, and every time I get to the airport, when I get through security and I'm getting coffee and my wife dropped me off at the airport, or the Uber did 4 minutes earlier, I'm like, through security, like the old days, right? And I look at this, 500 people not through security, waiting in line. So already I've had this ridiculously elite, unfair advantage. And then you get on the plane, and then I don't like to get on the plane too early. So I mean, now I do, because the alternative is walk past 200 people to that extra line of, because I'm an elite flyer, because I fly so much, so I can just walk on the plane. To say nothing to the fact that if I'm flying for my work, I'm in first. So then I walk right past them. They're waiting, and they got their bags, which they've had to pay for, and I didn't have to pay for anything, and I get to go on the plane.
And then they have to stand in line as they're getting on the plane as you pretend not to see them.
Right, that's right.
Because I sense this every time I get on a plane. Everybody in first class is like, look at me, people. I'm in first class.
Right, exactly.
I'm taken care of. I've made it. You haven't.
Right.
But I'm not going to look at you because I'm afraid I may be torn apart by the common man.
Right, and I feel like, well, I mean, obviously still I have to look because there might be an attractive woman, but I hear you.
And you have to look at her and you have to go, first class. I'm flying first class, you're attractive, I'm flying first class.
I get everything you're saying, because I feel like, yeah, this is wrong. This is what's happening right here is not
and it's
right.
And it's not, and the thing is, Ben, it's not just flying. It's every fucking aspect of society.
But but only in flying, or at least maybe not only in flying, but flying is I think, primary thing that used by, every most facets of life. Like you can be lower middle class, you're flying, middle class. Most people fly at some point for some reason, right? Or many people. But the unfairness of it and the lack of equality and the different classes and the caste system is thrust in your face.
Yeah.
Like there is not, when you pick your kids up at school, there isn't, and you're waiting in that line, there isn't well, if you're a platinum member, you can swing up here and pick your kids up, and that's only for platinum members, and they don't have to wait, and there's no traffic, and you just come right in and scoop up your kids. I mean, but that would outrage parents, right? It would you'd be apoplectic. Like, how is that possible? But we do it here. So I'm not surprised that we have seen these fights and this sort of level of anger. The passengers are angry. They will inevitably take it out on probably the wrong people who have been put in, sometimes they're horrible. Right.
Sometimes, most of the time, those gate agents, everything, they're just trying to get through their day also.
Right.
But you're right. Sometimes
they could be kinder. Some are better, and they're look, I love professionals in everything, and when you encounter a professional, it's great at anything, no matter what they're doing, and so you admire it when you find somebody who handles it well. But mostly, you're yelling at the wrong people, right? They didn't design the plane small. They didn't design this system. They've been given a very specific task of getting this plane loaded and out on time. That's their job, or they'll lose it.
And you're never going to meet the person responsible.
No, and their job is what? And they're making.
Yeah, they're nothing.
41.5, 27.3.
They're there for the perks so they can travel. But
they get to travel. Right.
I was remember reading an article about the way that planes are boarded, and we board them first. Guys like Ben get on whenever they want, I understand, but everybody else, they're
by that, of course, we mean Jews.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
They'll board I think they board back to front, or
I don't think Delta does it that way anymore.
Oh, they don't.
But
how do they do it now?
There's
it's
zones.
Super special because there's multiple levels of. I mean, that's when you're not a member of anything.
Oh, yeah.
It's now calling black key members, calling platinum, emerald, gold, silver, preferred, special. And anybody got a Vons card, and then it's like, and then I come up and I got nothing.
Wes.
Yeah.
And Wes, sorry, there's no overhead bin space for you now.
No, of course, those people don't. Of course, they can't get an overhead. So in addition, maybe they won't get charged for it, but they get a carry-on bag. They want to avoid bag check. No, their bag's going to get checked because the overhead bin space is gone.
And of course, it's not really gone. That's a whole thing. People load stuff in so that their jacket doesn't get wrinkled. And
yeah, of course, right. And then you'd like the people on the plane to make sure that didn't happen. And and I never. That's my I wouldn't. That I don't do. I keep my bag under the. But yeah, and but but the one time that I've yet to make Delta's highest level is the hardest. Harder than United and American to get to their highest level, another 25,000 miles. So I'm going to make it this year, but I haven't made it. Last year I missed by 1,100 miles.
I have
under 1,100, like 1089. And so I had to fly myself across the country to New York, and I just bought a coach seat, but I'm still platinum. But the first people on the plane are first class and diamond. And I was like, this is bullshit. I was like, I can't. How can I always get on the plane? You don't understand. And I got mad. right? I mean, inside,
You felt
right. I felt
gypped.
I felt 2% of what everybody else who flies in a plane must feel, or they just have to put it away somewhere and not let it affect them. But it is right in our face. Like, nope, more important than you, more important than you. There's 4 levels of more important than you, and then you.
And that more important is not just where you're going to sit and when you're going to get on. It's also how invasive and annoying are we going to be for you to get through security?
Totally, yeah, right. I get to coast through security. I don't have to take my jacket off. I don't take my shoes off. I don't, And I get why they would do that. They know me. I fly a lot. It's okay. That makes some security sense, right? But still, the overall experience is brutal, and I had to pay for it. That's $100 that I had to pay for it.
I also signed up for Clear.
Right, which I just did.
Now, what did I sign up for, Ben?
Clear is you can use like your fingers or thumbs, and there's an eye scan too. But I think that might just be one time. But
I did that also. They scanned my eye. Now what happens?
What happens now is that you get to go to the front of the TSA pre-line.
Okay.
So which sometimes there's a bunch of people at TSA pre, but LAX I don't think has Clear, but it has to be.
Oh, it doesn't?
No.
Are you kidding me?
No, but Atlanta has it, so I'm there half the time.
Are you kidding me?
No, there's no.
I asked her.
She said I don't know. She said to me, "Oh, it's coming like in the next 2 weeks."
Yeah, right. She said, "No, you're getting it."
No, I'm sure we're getting it. It's LAX.
God, that's just insane.
Right,
it's expensive. There's a monthly on it.
Is it? No, I think it's annually.
Oh, is there? I thought it was maybe she broke it down.
If it's monthly, I've made an egregious mistake. I don't need it.
I got the platinum version of of Clear.
I think it's $79 a year. That's what I thought.
No, I thought it was $1 something a year, like $100 a quarter or something. I don't know. I don't remember though.
But it's reduced because I'm a platinum member, and if I make diamond, it's free.
God.
And it's fun to do.
It's cool that we know Ben now because he's right on the verge of busting into the, you know what I mean? And he's still enjoying a lot of the fruits of the 1%ers, but he's not quite there yet. But
he's pretty close. I think the next topic of conversation will be how badly do you get ripped off on the maintenance for your BMWs and Range Rovers? I mean, honestly.
Yeah, don't you hate it? You order marble floors for your foyer. And the workmanship, it's just not what it used to be.
It is though. I'm not complaining about any of these things. I am keenly aware. I am appreciative, but I am keenly aware that people it sucks and it is in your face. And
it's in your face and it emotionally pisses people off.
That's right, and it should. It's totally understandable that it is, to me, this little microcosm of, man, we treat one set of people totally different. And by the way, the 3 times last year that I flew coach compared to the 12 times that I flew up front, I can't even say first class.
Yeah, right. Up front makes it sound like you're at the cockpit.
Right, totally. I mean, hey, I'm super thirsty. Could I get a Diet Coke? Drinks will be coming in a minute, sir. And up front, I get a Diet Coke. Sure. Heavy ice, light ice. You want the whole can? Right.
You want a diamond?
Here's what I get every time I ask for a cup of coffee up front. You know what? Let me brew you a fresh pot. Right. That's literally. And in the back, ask for coffee. We'll get drinks are coming in a little bit, sir. Just be patient. And then you're starving, and hey, I'd like to order the turkey wrap, please. We're out. We had 8. I'm like, there's 183 people in coach. You brought 8 turkey wraps? What's the worst that happens? At the end of the flight, you have 5 extra turkey wraps. Put them on the next flight. Nobody cares.
We had 8.
Yeah. Yeah, so now I know when I'm in coach, if I'm hungry, you got to go up there,
Dude, if you're in coach and you're hungry, I hope you brought your own food.
Yeah, I always bring my
own food.
Yeah. And that's another thing, you're packing, but now you're up late the night before making food or up at the crack of whatever.
Dawn. Usually the crack of dawn.
I was going to say the crack of fuck. Because that's typically what I'm saying when it's that early. And you're preparing your food for the flight. It's just so we've all agreed it's a gross process.
Yeah, it's a gross process, and it is a process of haves and have-nots, and it's rubbed in your face. And so it's just going to get worse. Because they keep offering more things to
induce you to
elite flyers. I mean, it is.
But it's the very nature of how everything functions in society. Which is, if you're wealthy, you get tons of fucking free shit all the time.
Yeah.
Here's your gift bag. Here's your free this. Here's your free car rental. Here's all this other fucking free shit.
That's
because
right.
you're already rich.
Right, you're special. And it's not so much, it's rich, but it's this sense of special. And then that creates an inevitable sense of entitlement. It's my friend, your friend too, Mark, Dan Hamilton. It's the problem when you go get a fine piece of steak, right? You go to you don't, Mark doesn't eat meat anymore, but you go and do you eat meat still? Did you quit meat? You were gonna, but you didn't.
I didn't, dude. I fucking love meat. I will quit it if you guys want to
have that last meal.
Yeah, have that last meal, and
we're talking about going to the Pacific Dining
do it
car
for like
and signing off.
God, I love the
really?
Pacific Dining car, dude.
Yeah.
It's just
I have a story about that also.
so good
because they're open all the time. Pacific Dining car. Just quickly, and before so I'm playing cards at my house with all these different guys who filter through. I don't know, and this one guy's there, and he's the owner of the Pacific Dining car.
Oh, no kidding.
I go there all the time. Like I get off the air at 11:30 at night, and you guys are still open, and you're not even close to closing because you're open all night. Then I said, by the way, how can you afford to keep that place open? It's like a nice white tablecloth restaurant. You keep it open all night. He said, well, we did the math, and if you close at 2, because there's a bar there and everything, you now take an hour, sometimes 90 minutes to close everything down.
3:30. You're
So
paying
now it's
people till
3:30 or
3:30.
4. You're paying people to. He said now you're serving breakfast, and you're going to be firing up at 6. You got to have people come in an hour early to get the place prepped. And he said it's just easier to stay open.
Right.
And
No
that's
kidding.
why they're open 24 hours.
God, I
But
love
that's
that
because they
place.
serve breakfast.
Right.
It's because they serve they do serve a.
It's a great breakfast.
It's a great breakfast.
It's like eggs Benedict and all this.
Yeah,
stuff.
it's a great breakfast. I mean, you can't get out of there for under $50, and frequently if you're going for dinner, $100.
Yeah.
You can do breakfast
Minimum.
for.
So what's your
46.
plan is to go there before you off yourselves? Is that it? What is
Yeah,
it?
before
we
if we were to give up
if
meat.
we were gonna give up meat,
Oh, I
that,
see.
Like
that last
have a last
supper
meal.
has to be there because that steak is so good.
But
Steak
Dan,
is good because it's dumped in butter, right?
is that probably.
Anyway, whatever the reason.
But Dan's point was once you go to the supermarket and buy the whatever it is, I don't know how much it costs, the $14.99 a pound steak, as opposed to what we all had as kids growing up. If you were fortunate enough to have steak, which is your mom or dad would go to Safeway and they'd come home and they'd buy 4 steaks that cost $5, right?
Yeah.
And that's the steak you had, and it was delicious until you have that other steak, and then you're like, well, I'm not eating that other thing ever again. What are you, out of your mind?
Mom, aren't you forgetting
Yeah,
something?
aren't you forgetting
the $14.99 steak?
Yeah. So don't give your family the $14.99 steak because they'll never eat the other steak again. And that's part of the problem with the air travel thing, is that then you so there becomes this sort of sense of entitlement. And I legitimately felt it that one time when I didn't get to, like, do you know who I am? I'm but it's, so I don't know, I think it's I don't know, I think it's gonna get worse in air travel, and they're gonna be more.
It's gonna get
people
worse in
shoved.
everything.
It's great, because it's gonna get worse in everything. But air travel seems to be a spot where, because it is, you said, like, you have to get to the airport, an hour comfortably. You better be there 90 minutes early because you have no possible way of knowing. And it's all about how you can handle stress, right? Like you want to get there an hour and 10 before your flight. If you have no special privileges to get through security, yeah, you might sweat it out, right? You might be like, oh, Jesus Christ. If you can handle that. If you don't want to have any adjective, get there 2 hours.
I'm 2 hours early for every flight.
can't do
Doesn't
that.
matter where
I don't
it
have
is.
it in me.
I just can't.
I don't either.
I don't have it in me.
I'm compulsive
Right, I
about
got you. Yeah,
being early. I just can't. I can't be late.
I
Drives me
hate
crazy.
being in the airport. I hate it. Because you're trapped there too. Even though it's a bigger space, you still, like, I'm always walking. I can't sit and read, I see the people in front of the gate and they're just sitting in those chairs waiting. I can't do it.
I love that, dude. You get a couple brand new magazines, you sit down,
No.
you just ignore every phone call and email that comes in because you're at the airport.
No, you're better. You're doing it right. I'm walking from Hudson News to Spirit of the White Horse, Spirit of the Red Horse to,
now that they've upgraded all of that a little bit,
have
so they're
upgraded all
like
that
nice flat screen TVs
you-
showing sports and stuff.
Now you can easily blow $50 in the airport. You have a drink. You can blow 100. You have a drink. Get a
Dude,
massage.
you could blow $50 on a bag of nuts and a couple bottles of water.
Totally, yeah.
But here's what is
and everything's so expensive.
Here's what's bad about waiting in some of these waiting areas now. They have CNN on. I have no problem with whatever they have on, CNN or but it's on and the audio is on as well.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that I don't mean to be a jerk, but you guys are actually being jerks. I'm here traveling. I shouldn't have to listen to an ad. I shouldn't have to be assaulted by whatever you decide to put on the television. I mean, if you want to have something on the screen there, fine, I guess, but I don't want to have to hear it. And there are more and more airports around the country where that's the case, that they're, you know.
I got gas. I had to fill up both of my cars in the last 2 days.
You saw the screen on the gas thing?
Yeah. And I just happen to know, I know there's a screen there, but as always, this is the first time I saw it marketed, branded the way it was, of GSTV, where some announcers, welcome to Gas Station TV.
Yeah.
And then there was Wolf Blitzer for 41 seconds, and then they're like ESPN on Gas Station TV, and it's just them taking a moment from SportsCenter. It was Scott Van Pelt interviewing Kevin Durant, and then my friend Teresa Strasser, who you know, Mark, is on the Teresa Strasser, who was like, when she saw you for the first time on the Young Turks, she was like, "That's Wes Clark Jr."
Who's Teresa Strasser?
Somebody who finds you incredibly handsome. And
nice, excellent,
and you should be pleased.
Makes me very excited.
She's
attractive,
smart, funny, beautiful. Yeah. So yeah,
where's she been? And I mean, I'm married, so
as is she, very happily. But and her show, The List, was on, and like, you know, there's all, but it's loud, man.
Yeah, it's really loud.
It's loud, and I'm like, hey, I don't want to.
I don't want to hear this. Elevators now, dude. Right, you get on an elevator now, and there's a screen. Because I don't like screens. I mean, the screen is okay in front of us, I guess, but
sure, you're on it.
I hate looking at myself. But
Teresa Strasser doesn't.
I gotta see who this Teresa Strasser is.
She's very pretty.
I gotta say, it's everywhere I go. I have yet to find now a single restaurant or bar or anywhere that doesn't have multiple screens everywhere you look. And as I'm sure women can block out the screen. As a guy, there's like movement in my eye. I'm looking at it.
Of course.
I don't care what. I don't care if it's like competitive tiddlywinks. Right. I'm like, this is obviously more important what I'm watching than what you, the person I'm eating with, are saying. Because my eyes are just drawn to it.
Yeah, no, I know. They're bright screens. They're designed to draw you in.
It's designed. I mean, look, I know it's not a conspiracy or anything, but you can kind of look at it and say, dude, everywhere you go, your ears are assaulted with music and your eyes are assaulted with screens to keep you from thinking.
I think it's just because they're trying to sell you stuff.
No, they are. No, what they say is, we have your eyes captive while you're here, and we can make this money off your captive eyes.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. And it just, whatever. And maybe millennials are so used to it that it doesn't bother them. But
I mean, it started, I remember the first thing going, wow, this is weird. How loud those cab things came on in New York City.
You have to mute them.
And you had to mute them, right? And then I remember in the early ones, I remember saying that to the cabbie, hey, maybe it was Vegas where I asked, I said, this is loud, man. He said, I wish there's nothing I can do. There's no turning them off. I know, I hate them too, you know?
Can't imagine how crazy they are by the end of the day.
Yeah, right, exactly, to listen to that shit all day.
Yeah, right. But everything's getting sold, man. It's anyway. I feel like that everything's more aggravating and more annoying, and I think that's because of the political times. Where I'm not pinning it all on Trump. But
part of it is
a lot of it is on him.
We're older,
right? And I'm curious about that.
And crankier,
right? So I'm curious. The millennials are like, why? Who cares? Gas station TV's on. Shut up. It's fine. You know, what do you care? Right? There's always background noise in our lives, right? But I do care. And I do not like a constant assault. And I'm super visual. You know, I love watching TV. I love watching the shows. I love to watch.
Has there ever been a moment when you were filling up the gas where you're like, okay, I've paid, but I have to see the end of the story?
Right? How does this turn out?
How does this 5-day forecast end?
Right, yeah. But it's so quick too. I mean, it's Wolf Blitzer. It was 40 seconds. It was insufficient. I was like, wait, no, what?
Yeah.
You know, because I got, you know.
Because they know you're not standing there. You're standing there, you hit the thing to put the hook on the thing, and then you're going back into the car. They got to make everything fast.
Yeah, so maybe I'll just listen to these all the time. Listen to my, keep the headsets on. Listen to a podcast. Listen to at least something that I'm choosing. It's not selling me something. Okay, we should talk about what happened today a little bit, right? Just first of all, I think most of the country today, we're shooting this on Wednesday, the 14th of June. Taping this. I got to think most of America is saying there's a congressional baseball game.
Right.
I mean, every year it gets coverage, and every year, they love it, the congressman, and I know about it because I love Congress and I love baseball, right? But there's no way most people know about it.
I never knew about it.
Right, nor should people know about it. But now, it's in the headline of every story. As Republicans were practicing for the annual congressional baseball game.
Well, and this
Have you
guy,
ever bet on that game?
I would, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'd only bet one way, and by the sound of it, I'd lose a lot. Yeah.
But this guy was lying in wait. He certainly knew about it, right?
Yeah, he definitely knew about it, and unloaded. I thought, it shows you how much the reporting was wrong in the beginning. Just the first stories were that he had been apprehended, and I guess maybe he did get apprehended, but I mean he had been shot and he died, which is unfortunate because you always want to be able to, hopefully figure something out.
Yeah, who did he know?
Who did he know?
Where did he get the gun? Like, where did he come from? What was the?
The gun was registered, of course, but you're hearing all these things at this time, like this isn't the time to have the dialogues about this or that. But the one thing that was demonstrably true is that he was taken out by a security detail that was armed.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
So, were it not for that, everybody'd be dead, or certainly.
Absolutely.
Presumably, right?
Yeah.
A lot more people would have been dead, right? But there were police there, and the police shot him.
Yeah. The Democrats they point to, they don't have any ranking members on their team.
Right, they can't. Right.
No, right. So, point is, there'd be no security detail there.
Oh, is that right?
Well, so.
Well, I guess I bet the minority leader doesn't get. I don't know. Probably.
I don't know. The point. I mean,
I'm sure the Republicans would have, the ranking members would probably have more security.
In any case, it was, again, among those things that were talked about today, was like, Democrats, they opened fire on that.
Right. It'd be
nobody's left. Right.
It'd be a lot worse. Yeah. I imagine. Yeah. I don't know if they have.
I mentioned it only because
security,
I mean that's prompted this. I think this moment is being seized by.
Sure. I don't. I mean, it shouldn't be seized in an idiotic fashion. It's okay to seize it. I mean, there's shootings every day. So,
Yeah, seize where you want.
Seize where you want. I mean, we're not allowed to talk about, I mean, there are too many guns. Guns are too many access to guns, and we shoot too many people in this country, and the solution is not to arm more people. That's idiot. That doesn't make any sense. That's not how it would work. That's not how we'd reduce violence, by having more people with guns ready to use them. That's crazy. So that bothers me. So I think we can talk about it, and we can talk about it the day it happens, because that's when you should talk about it. But okay, I'm not talking about this one. I'm talking about Orlando. Can I talk about Orlando now, or did I have to be silent the whole week of the first anniversary?
Right.
So I mean, politicizing it is, if you politicize it smartly, but politicizing it dumbly, as Fox did today, as Kellyanne Conway did today, and as I'm sure some Democrats did when Gabby Giffords was shot, by trying to link that guy to right-wing groups, when he was as linked to right-wing groups as this guy is to Bernie Sanders, who's never advocated an ounce of violence in his entire life. But that guy who shot Gabby Giffords was a schizophrenic, paranoid schizophrenic. That's the main story, right? Not where he went on Facebook. And this guy was obviously something. That's why I'm sorry that he's dead. Is that we'd want to learn more. This
I
guy
watched
had
a little, like right before I took off down here. I think it had been like 3:30 this afternoon. I watched something on CNN where they interviewed a guy who knew him from the YMCA.
Right, I read that.
And he'd been out in DC for 3 months.
2 months, yeah.
And he said all this guy's belongings in his life fit in a duffel.
He lived in a duffel bag, and
living in a car.
He'd work out and shower at the Y, and then he'd work on his computer at the Y. And his wife said he moved to DC like 2 months ago, presumably plotting, I guess. And he hated Trump, also hated Hillary, for whatever it's worth. It's worth nothing, is what it's worth. And had been pretty violent at one point in his life too. With he hit a neighbor with the butt end of a rifle.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he'd threatened some people.
He butt stroked his neighbor?
He hit his He hit his. He and his wife were charged with assaulting their daughter who wouldn't come home.
Right.
And he like pulled his daughter's hair, like grabbed her hair and yanked her into the house. And like people in the building, if they were like, hey. And then he got a rifle to greet the neighbor, and then turned it and hit him in the head with it.
Holy
knocked him out.
fuck, dude.
Yeah. So he's whatever. He's a crazy person. But some, and then 2 hours later, a more deadly shooting. I mean, hopefully no one except the shooter dies here.
In the first shooting.
But stuff that was wrong. First, Steve Scalise was fine. Turns out he's not fine. Right, lost a lot of blood, internal organs damaged, can have a lot more surgeries. Obviously, hope he's okay. Amazingly, everybody else who was shot seems okay. That one cop who saved his life, who killed the shooter, that guy kept moving, got shot in the leg, and kept going. That guy's a hero. But then 2 hours later, 4 people are dead in San Francisco, and they're not members of Congress, so it feels different.
It feels not as important.
Feels not as important.
Even though 4 people died.
4 people died, and here, hopefully, everyone who was shot, who was not the shooter, will go back at some point within a few months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, go back to a completely normal life.
Right.
But in San Francisco, 4 people were dead, so their families' lives are ruined in many ways forever. But that doesn't matter because that happens all the time, and we just, I don't know.
Yeah, it was a striking imbalance, and I ascribe some of that to the fact that they're set up in Washington. Most of these news organizations, they can get a lot of Washington spokespeople, and I mean people who are party to this event firsthand, eyewitnesses, and those who are sort of close to the situation. And they can easily get them one after another, just assembly line them through the afternoon, and that's what they did because they're already set up technically. And they all cheat toward Washington stories, and as you say, it just feels more important because it's a bunch of legislators. But truly, the story that's far more tragic, I mean, hating to compare tragedies, but is the one on the West Coast. And I think that just plays as a much, because again, unless you're a West Coast media outpost, you just don't have that setup that they have in Washington, and you don't have the bias you have is toward Washington.
Yeah, and look, an attempt to kill members of Congress is a big story. Obviously, a man bites dog is a different story, and we're inundated with mass shootings. There have been 1,400 since Sandy Hook. 1,399. I see that from Ezra Klein because Ezra Klein tweeted today and got a tremendous amount of grief for it. The great gift of politics is it gives us a way to make difficult. Oh no, that's not the one he must have. Hang on, keep talking. I got to find the.
You were talking.
Oh damn it! Of course. It's easy to forget what a blessing it is to live in a country where politics rarely leads to violence and how fragile that blessing is. And he got a tremendous amount of grief for that instantly.
Why?
Because we've had 4 presidents assassinated. We've had 5 other presidents, significant close assassination attempts where they were nearly killed. Many, Gabby Giffords, many members of Congress have had attempts on their lives. Many politicians have had attempts on their lives, and we live in a violent country that has attempted to violently kill politicians, and politics has often led to violence. And some would argue that the Civil War was the violent struggle over politics. And so it's I felt bad for. I think he was as a tweet, and he meant, "Hey man, we're not North Korea," right? Which is really, that's really what his tweet was trying. Hey, we're not Russia, we're not North Korea.
But we're moving there. We're moving in that direction.
But we're headed in that direction anyway. So just a bunch of other people I follow. It was weird to have one person you follow inundated with, this is a parody, right, Ezra? And and sometimes Ezra, I don't understand what the hell you're talking. There was a lot of that from other people I follow and like. So, but his sentiment was not. It was just dumb. It's just twit. It was
right. He wanted to express something.
He wanted to express something, and he, his first tweet right before that was, "This is awful." Right.
Right. No, he got it.
He got it. He knows. And then he, I'm sure felt compelled. That's why I started to read the other one because he then has, 38 other tweets about political violence when he's like, oh, now I got to spend the entire day.
Oversteer the other.
Exactly, trying to explain what I meant about political violence, and he's a smart dude. But it's weird, man. It's just ugly, and to have that happen the day I saw this movie, I just was really struck by having your internal order and your sense of what's okay to feel and watch upset. Like I never thought I'd be a guy who worried in West too. You know, whether you worry about what kind of world your kids are getting raised in.
Dude, that's all I worry about.
Right. But I mean, 2 years ago. And again, I guess I would have been foolish and I guess naive, but I wouldn't have thought about it. Like, hey, she's fine, and I'll probably still end up come down on she's fine. But there are times where in this movie they live remotely, you know, out of the city in the woods, and I thought, yeah, maybe we just live somewhere rural, right? Where it's just everything is just way more peaceful and your doors are open and the neighbors are on the other farm. Like I'm gonna be a farmer. Right?
Well, you'll have people to do that.
Right, still. Yeah. Right. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm still having an Uber Black pick me up and take me to the airport to fly to Atlanta.
Right. I'm still TSA pre.
You're right, exactly. I'm still clear.
Dude, I would love to live in the country.
Yeah.
I gotta live where I have to live because I'm, divorced and you have custody of the kids. I can't just take off.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just I am uneasy. I'm not sleeping. I said that before on one of these shows, and still true. I mean, not sleeping, but I mean, sleep is disrupted. It's usually disrupted by thoughts of politics. I reach for Twitter to read, to read every morning. Like, what did I? You wake up here on the West Coast at 7:30 or 8:30 or 8:30.
What did you already miss?
Right, it's noon, and significant things has happened. And today today I was up right after it happened. I was up from about 4:45 here.
Yeah, me too. I get up every morning at 5. So.
Oh man, I don't try, but I stay up so late. I wanted.
What time? What do you stay up till?
I don't know, 1.
Oh, do you every night?
Yeah.
Oh no shit. No,
I get when I have to
in
work.
Bed by 11.
I do my best work from like 8:30 to 12:30.
And because the house starts to get quieter.
Yeah, I get creative. That's when I can. That's when.
Back when I was a creative person, I remember that was.
Believe me, that's not.
It was always.
Now I'm just trying to get my kid to the finish line.
Now I'm just trying to get my kid to the finish line.
Creativity for me is changing a however to a nonetheless. That's my.
Yeah.
That's
right, Ben.
Nonetheless works a lot
better. I love what you did with that one lead in.
Yeah, that's right.
Some like it hot. Loved it.
Me being.
Well, I wrote that at about midnight. I did.
Can you change that besides to on the other hand?
Yeah, totally.
For the record, we respect Ben and his work. We just like to give him a hard time.
We had a little thing today about. I got an email about information conveyed, and we showed The Godfather in theaters this last weekend, and or last Sunday and Wednesday, and there was some question about some of the information that we gave at the end of the movie. And they were like, where'd you get that thing that you included? So I had to find that. That was like yeah.
What was the information?
I don't.
Oh, it's too bad.
I don't remember, but it was interesting, and we had it. I mean, I read it in a book. Maybe it wasn't true, but I read it in a book.
I love all that extra stuff. That TCM stuff where they tell you some fact and. Maybe it's preceded by, well, as you know, and then of course whatever follows, I had no idea about, because you have to really be like a real cinefreak.
It's like the TV version of the album insert from the 70s.
That's why I'm sure that I'm glad to see that Barry Williams is doing it to bring it back to on that MeTV, because it's good. Like, you want to know. Like, I mean, throughout as we're watching the Rockford Files in Columbo, I mean, I'm pausing it constantly and being like, who's that? I know who that is. Whatever happened to her? She was in everything. She was in, and then you look and like Charlie's Angels, Fantasy Island, Columbo, Kojak. So of course I saw her, and that's why I remember her. And then 1983, nothing. That's it. And you think, I hope she got married, had kids, and quit. Right. And didn't, and didn't fall off the deep end in a drug-induced 80s haze. All right.
Well, that's, by the way, what's so much more fun now about watching these old shows and old films is that, instantly and in sort of real time. You're going, oh, what happened? Oh, yeah. Oh, look, he was in this. He was in this. He was, oh, then he did this. Then he took his own life when he was 53.
That's right, yeah. Right, because he wasn't in anything anymore.
Yeah, but it is cool to read about, all these people. And you didn't have that.
Yeah, so that Columbo had Matthew Rhys. It had, I can't even remember the other guy, but it had Jorge Garcia, Hurley from Lost.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like a bouncer in it. And there was one other really good, one other guy who sort of made it, in a small part. But you were like, oh, that's.
And the old Columbos, they had these old stars. They were big stars. John Cassavetes and Jenna Rollins and.
Yeah, right. You'd get, and plus you'd
Leonard Nimoy.
Plus you'd get Betty Davis.
Yeah.
In some of these things, and you'd. Yeah, totally. That's another of these great things, and Rockford has that too. Do you remember Richie Brockelman on Rockford?
No.
So Rockford, I wanted to know about this too, and I'm going to guess 6 episodes or maybe 8 episodes, 1 year in the Rockford Files. Garner left. It was 22 episodes then, maybe it was 24 a season, and for 6 episodes, maybe 8, Garner left. And they did the Richie Brockelman show. And they had introduced this young private eye, played by Dennis Dugan, who directs a number of the Adam Sandler movies now.
No kidding.
Dennis Dugan came in, and he annoyed Rockford, but Rockford sort of thought, it's a kid I like him, and he helped him out. And then there were 6 episodes of the Richie Brockelman show on NBC Fridays at 9 or whenever Rockford aired.
Oh, wow.
Like that's how they. And now in hindsight, I'm like, did James Garner go through rehab? Right, or was he like, I don't think I want to do another season, and they were like, only do 16 episodes, right?
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
We'll fill the rest in.
But we can't. But there was not a time when you could just only do 16. So they had to somehow incorporate how they could do that show under. So now I'm fascinated by what got James Garner those 6 weeks off.
Right, like what he. That is a great story
8 weeks
somewhere.
Of production that he had. I'm like, he's got the summer off. Did he be like, all right, fine, the family's going to Italy. We're going for, I'm rich. I'm James Garner. Let's go to Italy. Everybody, from TCM, everybody liked James Garner. Everyone, every old star who ever will be like, oh, Jim was the best. Loved hanging out with Jim.
And he was apparently a great guy, in terms of his outlook on politics and the environment.
He was on the right side on everything. He was a great guy. All right, I think we're done.
Cool.
Thanks, Wes. Thanks, Mark.
Bye, guys.
See you.
You know what? This is how I believe, okay? I'm from the old school.